This is 5 tight ends I'm starting going into week 8 of the fantasy football season. The first guy's Noah Fant of the Denver Broncos. We saw him come off injury last week in week 7, and he didn't look 100%, but I think they were taking it easy with him also. It was snowing out there. There's no news on him of a new injury. So versus the Chiefs, he had 3 catches on 7 targets for 38 yards. But I think this week he'll get a little healthier. He's got the Chargers coming up. I like his matchup. Fant, he's a security blanket for Drew Lock, who he definitely looked terrible out there. But Fant, I think he could have a bounce-back performance this week for the Denver Broncos, and I'm going to project him 10 to 12 point area. Is Noah Fant. His bye week is done. Hopefully he gets over the injury. I know he didn't look 100%. But no new news came out on him. So right now, if I have Fant, I'm rolling with him. The second guy is Rob Gronkowski. He's really bounced back now after a slow start to the season. He's finally getting in shape. The O.J. Howard injury has helped Gronkowski, and he's coming off back-to-back great fantasy games. He had 1880 in week 6 with 5 catches, 78 yards, and a touchdown. And then last week versus the Raiders, 5 catches, 62 yards, and a touchdown. The Gronk speed is coming back, and his hands are getting better. He dropped a touchdown, though, in the end zone. Well, he would have had a 23-point fantasy day. So the Gronk, he's got prime. We see him back in prime time Monday night versus the Giants, and I expect Gronk and that Tampa Bay offense to keep cooking this week. And I could see the Gronk having a monster game with 20 fantasy points for the Gronk. So I'm projecting him versus the Giants, 7 catches for 68 yards and a touchdown for Gronkowski. And that's definitely possible out there. And now I think every week you got to autoplay and put him in your lineup, because Gronk, he's already back in the mix now. And the last 3 weeks, his targets and catches have gone up, and they're just going to go up from here as he's getting back in playing shape as the season goes on. The third tight end I'm starting this week is Richard Rodgers of the Philadelphia Eagles. He's the only healthy tight end over there. We saw him come off a nice 6-catch, 85-yard performance versus the Giants. And this week he's got a weak Dallas Cowboy defense that can't stop nobody. So Richard Rodgers, he'll be open all day, I think. That middle of the field will be open. We could see him get into the end zone as Rodgers. He's going on bye after this, but if you need a 1-week plug and play, this is the guy to go get and go start in your fantasy football lineup. I said it last week with Logan Thomas versus the Cowboys, and he didn't disappoint with 60 yards and a touchdown. So I could see Richard Rodgers with similar stats in this game. So I'm going to project him for 4 catches, 55 yards and a touchdown, and that's a great game for a tight end right there. The fourth tight end I'm going to start this week in week 8 of the fantasy football season. This week is Hayden Hurst of the Atlanta Falcons. Now, over the last 2 weeks, Hurst has had 2 bounce-back performances, and this week he's got the Carolina Panthers on Thursday Night Football. It looks like Matt Ryan, he's trusting Hurst more. Now with Julio back in the last 2 games, it's opened up the middle of the field for the Falcons and Hayden Hurst, who had a 15-point game 2 weeks ago for 4 catches, 57 yards, and a touch. And then last week versus Detroit, 6 for 68. So Hurst, when Julio's on the field, he's going to get you 9 to 12 points. And that's pretty solid for a tight end nowadays. There's so many tight ends who can't perform or put up big numbers. So Hayden Hurst, you definitely plug him and put him in your starting lineup this week. And the fifth and final guy is the rookie who emerged in week 7, Harrison Bryant. I expect him to get another start this week for the Cleveland Browns, and he's got a good matchup versus the Vegas Raiders. So the rookie was a good target for Baker Mayfield in the red zone last week versus the Cincinnati Bengals, where he finished with 4 catches, 56 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So if he could get you, 40 yards and a touchdown with 4 catches or something, that's a solid fantasy day. And Harrison Bryant, Baker likes the tight ends. Him and Hooper were getting a rapport before Hooper went down. So now Bryant's stepping into the role. I know Njoku's there too, but Bryant was on the field way more, had more snaps, and obviously the 2 red zone touchdowns. So Harrison Bryant, you could have worse out there, on your team. I'm starting him over guys like Evan Ingram, Jimmy Graham this week, so Harrison Bryant. He's not bad to get, and he's 99% not owned in leagues, so he's virtually unowned. He'll be a hot waiver pickup this week, and I said go get him as the number 1 tight end heading into week 8. So that's 5 tight ends I'm starting this week in week 8 of the fantasy football season.